Okay.
Welcome, everybody, to Indivisible Texas Lege Live. We are super excited to be with you because we have some amazing events that start today. But first, let's take a tour to see who's with us. We have Jasmine Tolhurst with us. Jasmine, how are you doing?
Hey y'all, I'm doing really well. How are you, Alexander?
Pretty good. I'm making some trips. We're dropping off some banners for the groups today. I'm on the side of the freeway in San Marcos, Texas. Where are you at in Texas?
I am out here in between Houston and Galveston.
Very nice. We also have Gil and Ted from Indivisible Austin. Gil, how are you doing?
I am doing okay. Excited to be out here on 35 and 11th Street. Involved in the banner drop as we speak. Oh my God, look at that semi. It almost took us out. Of course, I won't do that.
Very nice.
Yeah, so we're doing great, Alex, and excited to be involved in what's going on today. Thank you for both of you for organizing this live stream.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Gil.
And we have Ted, new resident in Austin, came from another state. Ted, tell us about your journey to Austin.
Well, I moved to Tupelo in 2014, and I wanted my wife to be involved with the grandchildren, but she passed away. And anyway, I decided I wanted to spend the rest of my life in a broad-minded, tolerant, multicultural community where people have understand other people, and not where white supremacy is so dominant in Mississippi. So I'm happy to be here and in such a great environment and to join the efforts. I really want to stand for my democracy, so I'm happy to be here.
Well, Ted, we are super happy to have you with us. And definitely, Austin has made a lot of great strides for inclusivity. But as we all know, the capital of Texas is also in Austin, and our legislature doesn't seem too committed to being inclusive like we want. And so we're doing a lot of work to combat what is happening at the legislature in Texas, but we also want to push for progress where Congress is at the federal level. And so we're working on two sides here. Tell us a little bit of why you got involved with Indivisible Austin and the kind of work that excites you, and what is happening there.
Well, who do you want?
Either one of you guys. Who wants to go first?
Go for it, Ted, if you don't mind.
Okay. Well, my big thing is democracy. I just cannot stand the way the Republicans are attacking our democracy. It's just so sad and so aggravating. We had a country that was based on democracy. They fought for democracy. We fought a civil war for democracy and won. And all the people that have given their lives in the Revolutionary War, the Civil War, World War II, and so forth, World War I and World War II, it just irks me to no end to think that we're going to be put in a less tolerant authoritarian state. Just is not something I want. And I'm 75, and I think I owe it to my country to stand up for this bedrock of democracy, beacon of hope for our citizens and for citizens throughout the world that think highly of this the government we've had.
Awesome, Ted. Glad to have you in this fight. Gil, why are you involved in this work, and what motivates you and everything?
Well, I'm involved in this work, and I'm out here right now dropping a banner because I am just sick and tired of folks who had voted in the past here in Texas. Now, because of the restrictions and what I think is suppression put upon Texas citizens by the GOP, I believe that I am just, I know that I'm angry, I'm upset, and I'm scared that this is going to get worse. And I don't want it to get worse. I want us to be, all of us to be able to vote. And that is why I'm here.
Absolutely.
How was
Jasmine,
that?
that was really, really good.
Great.
Jasmine, we
Same.
hear from our awesome folks, they want our democracy to last. We see that it's under attack. And people are trying to take action. And you have a lot of conversations with people in Texas. What is the perspective you have when you're trying to encourage Texans to make sure they're taking action?
That I think that's the frustrating part, Alexander. Getting people to take action and realize what's on the line. My grandfather is a Vietnam War vet, and he looks at, the insurrection that happened and can't believe that that's where our democracy is. And we were going to dinner last night, and I said, I just really don't think that people realize how precarious the situation is. With basic voting rights being made a partisan issue in a democracy, that's really dangerous. Democracy, the basic fundamental idea is that everybody has an equal voice, that I have access to a polling location, I go and I cast my ballot, and the majority wins. And this is how it's meant to be. And we saw in the last legislative session that we go and we give this testimony, and people are saying, we want access to voting. We want, 24-hour voting the way Houston did it, where I think Bun B came out and there was like a concert and people hung out and just sat in their cars during a pandemic and were able to vote safely in a 24-hour period, and people were able to hype it up, and it was fun. And democracy should be a fun community effort. And there are people actively trying to destroy that and trying to make it more difficult. And so, when I talk to people, I'm like, this really matters. They're trying to take this away. And they see it in the, our governor got so mad at Houston for some of the things that they put in place with voting access during the pandemic and actually giving people good access. And yet there's a disconnect of like that their access to voting could actually be taken away. And it's real. It's real in other states, and it's real as ever in Texas. And I really hope that more of us, especially the special session, is 30 days at a time, and we can take bites one day at a time, 30 days at a time for sure, and show up, call, take these actions, and let legislators know that this isn't okay, that we want our vote and we want access to voting, and we don't want them swapping polling locations at the last minute, making all these hoops for us to jump through. I think people think that voter suppression is only in the ways of like overtly stopping voting, like the old Jim Crow where, there was a reading test and you had to pay money or whatever. It's much more insidious today, where they set up all these hoops. You get to the polling location and it's closed, or the hours were changed. That's voter suppression. That's taking away your vote. You might need to get back to work, and you can't run around town trying to find an open polling location. That matters.
Yeah, this is a huge thing that's happening, throughout our state, throughout the country, where, in this situation, it's Republican legislators and Republican leaders that are trying to change laws to restrict people's access to voting. And in Texas, a lot of people assume that we're a red state, but we're really a non-voting state. We had 11.3 million Texans vote in 2020. That was over 2 million higher than the previous record of 8.9 million. But that is still just a little over half of eligible Texans that can vote. There was 9.5 million Texans that were eligible to vote by age that didn't vote. 5 million of those were registered. And so we have a lot of work to try to help encourage Texans to vote. And too often people feel like they are powerless, like they don't have power. The people who are elected or the people who are in office have all the power. But that's just not what a democracy is about. A democracy is about the power is in the hands of the people. And it is up to us whether we want to use it or not. And we really, really need everyone to start participating and continuing to encourage those around them to participate, because we need to make sure we don't lose this power. We have the power of electing officials at various levels of our government that can help us solve the problems that we are seeing in our community and help us prepare for the future that is ahead of us. And too often we take a passive approach and thinking, well, we can't undo this, but we can if we truly come together. And that's what we want to definitely encourage, is that today, starting today at 4 p.m., Indivisible Austin groups in Austin that include Indivisible Austin, Indivisible TX10, Indivisible 25, TX25 East, and members of Indivisible Texas Lege as a state Lege group. We have a lot of members in Austin. We focus around the entire state because legislation at the state level impacts us in every corner. But we have a lot of members in Austin that we are going to be coming together to show these banners, "Don't mess with Texas voters," and hashtag Texas deserves better. So we want to encourage everybody in the Austin area to show up today at 4 o'clock. And I'm going to share this event page for everybody so they can see the information. So don't mess with Texas voters. This is what you're going to see from our banner. It's on 218 South Lamar, and it'll start at 4 p.m. A huge shout out to the Rosedale Huddle as well. Indivisible Rosedale Huddle, they do amazing work at multiple levels of advocacy. And so we want to see you all out there at 4 o'clock so that we can have a great showing and letting Texas leaders know, don't mess with Texas voters, and hashtag Texas deserves better. And so we encourage everyone to be out there. Gil, what you're hoping to see when people go out there and we're holding these banners and people are coming together to proclaim this "Don't mess with Texas voters"?
What I'm hoping to see is just all of us, whoever wants to come out, whoever is afraid to come out, whoever is thinking about wanting to come out, just come and join us on the 4th. Together, we're stronger. And I would love to see us, the grassroots, just get out there and let the community know and let those who we have elected and not elected to know that we have the power. We hired the GOP, the Democrats, any other party to work for us. We are their boss. So my intent, and I hope others' intent, is to get out there and let them know what we want. We can elicit change. In my opinion, political leaders do not have the gumption to elicit change. So come on down and join us.
Awesome.
I might add that remember the summer of 2017, where all the grassroots groups, especially those from Indivisible, were most noteworthy, got out to save the Affordable Care Act or Obamacare. So that's what can be done. And this is even more important. And if you want your liberties of speech, assembly, voting, religion, your identities saved, it's time to stand up now, or this summer is important. We're getting ready. After that, we can expect, we need to get going because we had the fight in 2022 and we got to stop these legislative efforts or it's going to get harder for people to have their right to vote.
Yeah. That's such a key point, Ted, is that we have legislators in Austin for the state, and we have members of Congress at the Capitol in DC, both in office right now that can do a couple of different things. In Texas, the state legislature, they can not pursue and not pass voter suppression bills. And that's what we want them to do. We want them to not pass that kind of legislation. But in Congress, we want them to pass voting rights legislation that expands access to everyone in our country, every citizen, so that they can vote and have the protections that they need. And so that there are not these things that are being done to suppress the vote, especially in our Black and brown communities. And so those people are in office now, and this is what we're demanding. But like you said, Ted, the next election, the next big election is coming in November 2022. It's a midterm election, meaning that it's in between presidential elections. And this is going to be a major election for the state legislature and for Congress. And so if we don't see these elected officials do right by Texas voters, then we need to be motivated to vote in people who will push back against voter suppression and who will push for voting rights. And so by you showing up today at 4:00 in Austin, that helps us get that word out so Texans are motivated and they are aware that this is what we need now. And if these people aren't willing to do it, then we're going to vote other people in who will.
Ted, if I may say something to the Latino population over there, out here, mira, nuestro pueblo está en peligro. Los republicanos, así como Ted Cruz, los quieren quitar nuestra voz. Por favor, vengan con nosotros este día a las 4 para protestar y para ganar nuestra voz para atrás. Gracias.
Gracias, Gilberto. Gracias. Jasmine, are you fired up?
I'm super fired up. I can't wait for the events in Houston going down, and I can't wait to show up in Austin during the legislative session, the special legislative session, which starts July 8th. So in just a little over a week, you know, they're going to convene, and they can't bring anything new to the table, but there was plenty that wasn't that great that our governor wants to bring back. So I'm ready to fight him on it.
Yeah.
If they want to fight about it, we can fight about it. But I would just prefer that I have my liberties and my freedoms, and that I get to vote in an easy and accessible way. That'd be great.
Absolutely. And we're going to kick off starting today the Don't Mess with Texas Voters project we've been working on collaboratively with 12 indivisible groups and local progressive allies throughout Texas. And we're going to continue to have these events through the special session. And we're going to continue to have events leading to redistricting and afterwards, and all the way to November 2022. And so we want you to get plugged in. Definitely want you to show up today, but join a local group. Join Indivisible Austin. Join Indivisible Rosedale Huddle. Join Indivisible TX10, TX25 East, or Indivisible Tex Ledge. Be a part of the work and help us ensure that we are going to have a strong, vibrant democracy in Texas and throughout America. And with Texas, because of our state, because of our influence, we can set the table for our future here. So be a part of it so that we can have that change that we want to help our communities, whether it's expanding Medicaid, strengthening public education, reversing the attacks on reproductive rights, protecting the LGBTQIA community, immigration reform, environmental reform, all of these solutions we need, we're not going to be able to get to them if we don't have a vibrant and healthy democracy. Because without a vibrant and healthy democracy, then we are limited and it is harder for us to elect the good people we need in office. And we definitely need better people because Texas deserves better. Well, this has been great to talk with all of you, Ted, Gil, Jasmine. It's amazing to see just Texans coming across the state, working together. Love getting to work with you guys and all of our allies. Any final words to get people out there today?
Just come on down, add your voice. If you're afraid, you're afraid. If you're excited, you're excited. I mean, that's who we are as people. So, mira, together we can do it. One day at a time, one moment at a time, one protest at a time. Come on down.
I love that. I think, together we can do more. And a lot of people, when I speak to them, they say, well, I'm not involved in politics. I don't want to get involved in politics. But like you said, politics affects every single area of our lives. It touches every area of my life. I want clean air and I want clean water. And apparently I have to advocate for myself and tell my legislators that I want these things. I want to be able to vote in a democracy. And if I don't fight for that and say that, then I'm not going to get it. We want our kids to have great schools that teach real things. Mm-hmm. We have to fight for that. We overtest our kids. And the teachers don't have freedom to actually teach them. These are things that we really need to stand up and say what we want. So I hope that people are encouraged to come out, to get involved. It doesn't take any previous knowledge of organizing or protesting. Like there's nothing required, just to come out and experience what can be.
Yeah, following up on what you said, Jasmine, Abbott's gone and he's paying money to deal with a wall down on the southern border instead of fixing the infrastructure problems in the state. And I'll also add, united we stand, divided we fall, or as the Musketeers would say, one for all and all for one.
Absolutely. And we're going to tag all the Austin groups in our posts. So if you are interested, like their page, connect with them. They'll have information. They have a website, Twitter account, all kinds of things. You can message them. We want you to get plugged in. And you can also go to indivisible.org, find these groups on the map. Let's get connected. Let's keep working together. It's great seeing all of you. Thanks so much, Gil, Ted. Hope y'all have a great time today. 4 o'clock. We'll be looking forward to seeing those pictures and that footage. And we may even live stream some of it if we're able to get that set up for everyone. So looking forward to touching back with you guys later today.
Thank you.
Thank you both for hosting this meeting.